We're here at Danny Green's training camp with Terrell Hendricks, a sparring partner, flown in from Los Angeles, an accomplished professional, trains out of the Wildcard Gym. Terrell, how have you found Melbourne and how have you found sparring Danny Green?
Oh, it was awesome. The guy is in, tip-top shape. He punches well, goes good to the body.
Let's talk about how you became part of the training camp here and came to Melbourne from Los Angeles. How did you get contacted to be part of Team Danny Green for December 2nd, his fight with Connie Conrad?
Well, a gentleman by the name of Rick Glaser out of New York City, he's a big matchmaker. He connected me with the Danny Green camp, and he made it happen. So I'm loving it here. It's a very beautiful place.
I know Rick as well. He's married to an American lady, and he's always on Facebook.
Yes.
He speaks his mind, doesn't he, Rick?
Yes, Rick. You got to love him or hate him. He definitely gives it to you straight, and he's a comical guy, and he's a great guy because he's the one that, put me into this camp.
We mentioned off camera you're a Lakers man and not a Clippers man. Danny's coming around and photo bombing there. So the Lakers haven't won a game. Getting away from the Lakers, how are you going with your sparring? How are you finding sparring Danny Green?
Oh, Danny is awesome. He punches well to the body. He has a good left hook as well. It was good. Today was my first day boxing with him, and he definitely has the goods.
All right, thanks for your time, Tyrone, and enjoy Melbourne. Enjoy the Danny Green training camp, and is there a message you'd like to tell your fans out there?
Yes, I want to tell everyone, stay tuned. Terrell Hendricks, we don't have a fight date yet, but it's coming soon, and I love you guys from Los Angeles, California.
Back at Danny Green's training headquarters with head trainer Angelo Hyder. Angelo, second time up from a long spell. How's Danny going for December 2nd?
He's going good, mate. Going good. He's got that 10 rounds under his belt. That's the main thing. We've got to look at that like a pre-season in footy, like after a big layoff. He's got that under his belt. He's got that base of fitness under his belt. Got an opponent that's more suited to him and Danny exchanging. The other fellow was a lot more dangerous. Danny had to take no chances. This bloke here, they'll get a bit busier with that 10 rounds under his belt, mate. A bit more confidence now that knows that, he's back and he can do it. So I think you'll see some punches, fists flying, mate.
Terrell Hendricks has been flying in from Los Angeles out of the Wildcard Gym as a sparring partner. How's he shaping up in training camp?
Yeah, he's good, mate. He worked Danny pretty hard today. Probably not the right word, not too hard. It wasn't a hard session today, not meant to be, but kept him on his toes and brought his experience, I think that he's fought something, his record of the blokes he's fought is something like 90 wins and 1 loss. So he's a bloke that's taken anyone on. He's been around. He's actually one of Golovkin's sparring partners as well. He's been in camp with Golovkin, so he'll keep Danny on his toes and get him shaped up for the fight.
And you're a leading trainer in Australia. You've trained Vic Darchinyan along with Danny. Do you train, say, a Vic Darchinyan the same as you would a Danny Green? Is it a set training program you have for a guy fighting 10 or 12 rounds, or do you tailor it every day and specifically different needs for different people?
Yeah, Pete, it's a good question. And it's the biggest mistake that you get in sport and in boxing, that people train their way rather than adapt the programs to different fighters. Every fighter's different. And every weighted fight is different. A Vic Darchinyan flyweight is completely different than training Danny Green at cruiserweight or light heavyweight, or Bob Merovic at 40 years of age as a heavyweight. Everything's different. Everyone's an individual. Everyone has different recovery ratios. Everyone works harder. One good thing nowadays is the heart rate monitor, so that I can actually see how hard blokes are working, and there's no lying. So that's added a bit of science to, basic science, but mate, the heart's 99% of it. So, everyone's different, Pete, and a little bit of science these days, and goes a bit further.
What do you want their heart up at, peaking, and for how long?
Oh, mate, it's different. There's periods that we want blokes to be bursting up. It's more about how long they are at different levels. Like, you don't want them up at 90 and 95% too much. You want them trying to sit, at around 65%, 70, 75%, burst into the 90s and then rest, get them back to resting, so that it's periodic explosions of energy so that they don't blow out. Because if you stay in certain zones for too long, you'll lactate straight up and, mate, you'll be done as dinner. You'll lose all your power and all your stamina.
December 2nd, Connie Conrad, High Sense Arena. It's going to be a massive undercard as well. The Maloney boys on there, Jade Mitchell, Ryan Breeze, Terry Terramanis. You've stacked the undercard, and it's going to be another massive night for Victorian boxing. Only $65 at Ticketek to grab a ticket. Mate, how hard is it for you being involved in that other sector of the promotion? You basically do everything. You even do the tags, you do everything. And the next moment you're taking someone's heart rate. How hard is it to do both things?
Yeah, it is hard, but I've got some good help. Blokes take the pressure off me as it gets closer. The undercard's fantastic. I think, time willing at this stage, every fight's a state title fight or a title fight, or regional or Australian title. So we've got 2 state titles, we've got an Australian title, 2 regional titles. So giving everybody a go, mate, and Danny's pushing and supporting Victorian boxing, and hopefully even when he finishes it, he'll continue to do it and work in with you, Pete, and Jake Ellis and some good blokes. Everyone in Victoria that wants in boxing, we all work with them and help the sport.
Danny normally gets this question, you don't. The Anthony Mundine fight, obviously next year everyone's hoping it's going to happen. We can't really comment, it hasn't happened yet. But if Danny has to get down to, say, an 80-kilo catch weight situation, we know his next fight against Connie Conrad's at 83 kilo. How much pressure does that put on you as a trainer, yet again, that he has to keep obviously dropping weight and you have to get him cherry ripe on the night?
Yeah, his last fight was that he come down to 86 from, the 91 limit. He'd only ever got to about 89 anyway, but and then this one he's going to come down from 86 to 83, and then hopefully he'll work his way down. How far down, I don't know. I'll leave that to whoever negotiates it and where they go, but it will be difficult to the lighter he goes. It'll certainly be difficult, Pete.
Let's get back to other fighters. You do other promotions in Perth. What's boxing like in Perth at the moment, Ange?
Yeah, she's booming in Perth. We do actually boxing, 5 fights, 5 MMA fights, 5 Muay Thai fights. We run a long show from about 7 to 12. And we get all the crowds there, and it is a big mix, and everyone's loving it. Our next show over there is December 11. We hope to start getting a few of the Maloney boys and, Mitch Clark and these blokes to come over in the West, because he actually got brought up in West Australia. His dad worked as a shearer in Western Australia, so he's got a big following in the West. So, just like Morrison was from Victoria when he fought over here, he had a big following here. So, with airfares and that today, mate, we combined them and we keep WA boxing going.
Tony Toll's doing a massive job over there with you as well. Thanks for your time, Ange, and keep up the great work.
Thanks, Pete, and mate, Channel 31, it's great to see they're right behind boxing, mate.
Back at the Danny Green training camp with Danny Green. Danny, how's it all come along for December 2nd up against Connie Conrad?
Yeah, good, thanks, Pete. Excuse me, had a bit of a chest infection the last couple of days, so been laying low. But yesterday training, then today had a first sparring session with Terrell Hendricks, Jimmy's cousin, come out from LA, trains at Free Roach's gym out there. So yeah, we had a bit of a head out, and he's a good fella, and he's going to be a real valuable asset to the camp.
Mate, this next fight's at 83 kilo. Connie Conrad, we saw him fight Bromar for a WBA light heavyweight world title. He's a serious player, mate. This is a real hard opponent, isn't it?
Oh, look, he just fought for the world title, less than 8 weeks ago. So, yeah, I'm happy. Happy I'm in the mix again, and we've got a few options up our sleeve if the banana Mundine doesn't come off, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. I just got to focus on what the main thing is, and that's defeating Conrad in the second. And we have options down the track, but it's such an old cliche, one fight at a time, all this kind of crap. And I'm not going past Conrad, which we aren't. And as you can see in the training, we're taking this very seriously. I've been away from home for a while, and it's business as usual for me. When I'm in training, I'm full on.
Danny, you had a long spell. Now you're back second up from a spell. It's a lot easier than it was, say, 3 months ago, coming back for your fight this time, now that you've had a fight, you've had the training, and you've kind of taken off a few of the rough edges?
Yeah, Pete. Yeah, it's a good point, mate. And I was a bit rusty the last fight I had. I was in training camp. It was difficult because I had the fairly long break, although I was keeping very, very fit. Trained very hard all the time. I never stopped training. I was probably training harder than I was in training camp just because I was keeping myself occupied. And I love being fit. It's a way of life for me. But it's different to fight fit. As you know, mate, it's a whole different ball game. And, it was tough and I was a bit rusty. And once the round started clicking by in the fight, I started loosening up a bit. I was nervous too. There's a lot of expectation, a long time out of the ring, and a lot at stake. So I was happy to defeat a guy. He gave the world champion a tougher fight than he gave me. And the world champion's a younger man and was in his prime when he defended his world title last year. So I put on a better performance than the world champion did against him, and I was able to defeat him convincingly. It probably wasn't the most exciting fight to watch, but people have kind of come to expect my fights to be pretty. Either get knocked out or I knock them out, or a bit of blood and guts in there. And it wasn't that type of fight, which made it disappointing for me because I couldn't give the fans what they came to expect. But unfortunately, that's the fight game, that's the business, and I was happy to get the victory. And hopefully, this fight, Conrad's going to present a different proposition. He's a younger guy by 12 years, and he's just fought for the world title. He's at the top of his game, and he's hungry. So I'm looking forward to getting in there and mixing up with the German.
I don't know if this is a true story, but it's something I've heard. Did you mortgage your house to fight Roy Jones Jr. and basically became the backer and investor into a fight that you're actually going to be fighting in?
Yeah, it's true, mate. And it was a big risk. It was a massive punt. We had to put $2 million US into a bank account 8 weeks before he even left the country. So that was just a guarantee that he knew we were serious about it. And then when he saw the Ace Arena, 18,000 people, when he walked down to the arena, I think he got quite a shock. The press conference, there was 1,000 people at the press conference in Sydney. It was, I think he was quite shocked that we actually knew what we were doing. Angelo and the crew at Grand Machine put on a great show. We put on a massive show. It was, I think the most prestigious fight. This is what other people have said, and I believe it is the most prestigious fight the country's had with Roy Jones Jr., his boxing royalty, and to defeat him, many people have said, Green, he thinks he's better than Roy Jones Jr. and all this kind of stuff. Well, on my night, I was better than Roy Jones Jr. on that one night. But the rest of my career, no. He's one of the greatest of the modern era. No one, and I've never ever, and would never ever claim to be anywhere near Roy Jones' standard. But on my night, I'll catch anyone with a shot, they're going to go. And fortunately, I was lucky enough to catch him, and I still pinch myself that I got him in the first round. And it was a dream come true for us and our team. And Angelo and I worked so hard, and when those kind of moments happen, it's unforgettable.
It must be a competitive beast, mate, because look, most competitors, I know some boxers are going to ring, they'll fight Mike Tyson, but they won't put $1 on a bet. Now, you've gone, I'm going to put everything on the line, the house, plus put my neck on the line, so it's a double risk. The big question is, how did you explain it to the wife, and did you explain it to the wife? She's making breakfast. Did you say, look, the house, we could be sleeping underneath the bus shelter for the next 20 years? Did the missus know, and how did she react to that?
No, I didn't tell her, mate. She didn't need to know. What she doesn't know won't hurt her, mate.
Old school, I like that, mate. It's like going to the races, you play the poker face. I don't know if you've won 10 grand or dropped 5 grand.
You bring home 10 grand, there's 100. Knock yourself out, darling.
All right, Danny, thanks for the chat, mate. And December 2nd, let's go with the undercard while we've got you here. It's a massive undercard. The Maloney boys, you bring them along nicely. They're going to be the future of boxing, aren't they? Also, Jade Mitchell, Ryan Breeze, Terry Terramana, some big, big names. You always stack the undercards with all the best prospects. Yeah,
it's a fantastic card. Once again, Angelo's done a great job. Pete, you've been fantastic in helping us out as always, mate, so thank you. And thanks to all the people in Melbourne who've supported the event, and I'm just looking forward to putting on a great show and showcasing what Melbourne has to offer as far as the young guys coming through, because they're the future. So the Maloney brothers, Jade Mitchell, and all the guys, Ryan Breeze, like you said, Zach Middleton Mitchell as well. So these guys are the future of boxing in the country. We want to showcase them to the fans, and Angelo's done a great job in matching up an incredible card. The fights that people are going to see, it's real boxing, it's real fighting, it's value for money, and it's what people want to see. They want to see real fights with real fighters in real contests, and it's exciting, and I'm just rapt to be able to have the young kids in the show, and hopefully when I'm, not long when I'm off, getting old and fat and tired and grumpy and cranky and rusty, they're coming through, and they're the future of our sport in this country. You can get tickets at Ticketek for $65, which is unbelievable value in today's market to get
a world-class athlete, an event, a Danny Green promotion event's always, like at High Sense Arena, it's a high-budgeted event. For the battler to be able to spend $65 and witness that, I've been in attendance, it's something you need to witness. So get there, Ticket Tech, and book a ticket early, because last time it was close to sold out. I'm pretty sure it'll be close to sell out again. Danny, thanks for your time, mate, and keep up this great training camp.
Thanks, mate, and thanks for the crew in Melbourne. Look forward to seeing you around the place. I've got a lot of love in this town, mate. It's a great city, it really is, and I'm just rapt to be here, and thanks everyone for the hospitality, and thank you, Pete.
Back with the Lord of the Ring, Howard Lee. Howard, welcome to the KO Boxing Show. Double respect.
Double respect, that's your great expression, Peter.
Howard, you've been involved in the game for 50 years.
Not
Plus,
quite.
40 years, 50 years. You know the industry inside out. I mean, back to Lester Ellis and even before Lester, and right away through to Danny Green and all the big stars now. UFC's come about, Ronda Rousey and names like that. How do you see boxing as it was 40 years ago to now? What's been the changes?
Well, I suppose, Peter, there's so many other sports that have taken the limelight. I mean, with Michelle Payne, a female, winning the Melbourne Cup for the first time, people are talking about why can't women get more exposure on television. But I was thinking to myself, a lot of women box now, Peter. Not necessarily professional, but there's a lot of amateur women boxers. So it's equality in boxing, and the Victorian Boxing Board would be congratulated because they allowed women to box maybe 15, 20 years ago, Peter. So, but to answer your question, it's going to be tough, but it's only temporary maybe. Do you think the UFC's got a long life?
Look, it's one division and unified by Dana White, so that it makes it a lot easier, and all the stars get to fight each other.
Yes.
And obviously, it's a big corporation, but boxing, I mean, when you first started out, there was probably one world champion, one or two world champions. The fights were big.
Yes.
Did people dress different? Was it a different ethic inside the venue? What's the difference now between boxing? Because I've seen a lot of the old, 70s
black and white footage.
And people in suits and stuff like that.
Yes, that's right. Very nicely dressed. Talking about that, Peter, I've never seen so many poorly dressed men as there were at this year's Melbourne Cup. Ladies beautifully groomed, lovely colours, but the men, a lot of men poorly dressed. But Peter, there used to be a lot of betting on boxing. Our great friends, the late Reg Hundy, Hank Stanley. There was big money on fights. The Graham Brook, Barry Michael fight, there was enormous money laid on that fight. But you don't see betting at ringside these days, do you?
Oh, no, but so you're basically saying there was more characters involved?
Yeah, more characters, Peter. A lot of our characters have passed away, and they've drifted away from boxing too. But amateur boxing's flourishing. But professional boxing, you're a matchmaker, promoter. Is it tough to get fights up and running?
Oh, look, it's just the environment in the industry. So many other sports now, basketball,
yes, that's right.
Soccer,
netball,
and football,
soccer,
and so much stuff that take away. There's only a certain amount of athletes that want to compete, are competitors. So when you get other sports biting away, it does narrow the numbers. But then you've got the people that are competitors in the combat sports. You've got UFC, kickboxing, and other sports as well. Muay Thai, boxing. So they take away from boxing as well. So,
and sponsorship, Peter, is it tougher to get sponsors?
Look, it depends on if you've got TV and exposure. If you've got TVs and exposure and you've got big names, obviously it's a lot easier.
Yes.
But, so your version of effects is that boxing at the moment, is it from 40 years ago, has it become bigger or smaller? Because now you've got pay-per-view.
More money for the top liners, but the sort of underlings, the undercard fighters, their purses have probably been improved, enhanced, with market forces. But young people, maybe they're not boxing necessarily, Peter. They're doing other things, as you said. So if they drift out, they might box as young people, 13 and 14, but then they might go to another sport, Peter.
Howard, you've been comparing and emceeing for, as we mentioned, maybe 4 or 5 decades. What's been your greatest moment in a sport where you actually got goosebumps yourself and you thought, this is happening, I'm in the middle here, and it was the pinnacle of your MC career? What was the moment?
I don't know about the pinnacle, Peter, but the famous fight between Lester Ellis and Rocky Iceberg in Adelaide, an American Rocky Berg from Oklahoma. It was a bad night. There was 3 disqualifications, and then the semi-main event, which featured Jason Hall, the bushranger, That was cancelled because there was a dressing room dust-up. And it was a wild night at the tennis stadium in Adelaide, Memorial Drive. That's the most famous night, or infamous night, Peter.
But so all in broad, there's more action in the change rooms.
Well, I said there's more action outside the ring than there was in the ring.
Yeah. But away from that, where's been the moment where you've been sitting in a ring, you've looked around and you thought, this is unbelievable, I'm right in the middle here, and it's a massive crowd, or big occasion, it was two fighters staring off at each other. Was it Stan the Man and Alexio?
That's right, Stan the Man and Alexio. The referee, Al True, I just got out of the ring that night when Stan the Man said to the audience after he beat Dennis Alexio, the Terminator, cracked his shin, he said, "You can kiss my backside." He told that to the crowd.
But what's your greatest
one?
Well,
I suppose that's right up there, Peter. And the Barry Michael Lester Ellis fight. There was a series of fights between Lester Ellis and I Kill You, One Kill You, and Rod Sekinnon and Lester Ellis. They were 15-round fights, classical fights.
I remember going back in the change rooms after Stan beat Dennis Alexio.
Yes.
Kerry Packer was in there, James Packer was in there, the Kirby family.
Yep.
There was that many heavyweights.
Yes, there were a lot of heavyweight.
Eddie Maguire. you don't see that anymore, do you?
You don't? No. Well, I met Don Lane, the late Don Lane, television personality, in the dressing room after Tony Miller beat Willie Pep, a Canadian boxer. He was world ranked, and it was his birthday too, Willie Pep. But he was a good fighter. Tony Miller's recently been added to the National Boxing Hall of Fame too. I would have thought there was a surprise selection on my behalf. I remember he suggested he was worthy of it, but Pep and Miller. But that trilogy of fights featuring Lester Ellis and Barry Michael was one of the pinnacles in the mid-'80s.
So there you go, Howard. And also Jimmy Barnes at the Hilton Hotel after one of the fights in Adelaide.
Yes.
The drink tab came to about 10,000. They were drinking cognac.
Correct, Peter. You've got a great memory. A great memory. Yeah.
The promoter was meant to check out at 7 a.m, but he checked out about 5:30 a.m, I think.
Yeah. Ponderosa Promotions after the TV series. He went back to... I worked for Peter Foster as well, who's in the news again.
Slim T, he's got
Slim T.
Lose
he
6
promoted
kilo.
one show at the Melbourne Town Hall.
You drink one cup of tea, Howard, and you lose 6 kilo. Would you
That's
like
right.
a cup of tea?
Well, it was Jimmy Barnes entertained, and John Swan, his stepbrother, entertained Tony Lang, Lester Ellis. That was a 12-round Commonwealth title fight at Apollo Stadium, which became a basketball stadium, or it was a basketball stadium in Adelaide. It was live on 7. Ron Casey was the host, but they had to delay it because a lot of the fights fell short, injuries and all the rest of it. But that's a night to remember, Peter. A morning to remember.
Great work again. Keep punching.